My name is Jiles Smith, and welcome to Our Community. This week on Our Community, Jiles interviews Michael Podegracz, Hesperia City Manager. So Mike, thank you for having us in here today.
You bet, Jiles. Glad to be here.
So tell us more about your background.
Well, city managers, I get that question asked a lot. What is your background? Many city managers come up through cities, start with administrative interns or come up through different departments. My background's a little bit different because I came up through the private sector. My background is actually civil engineering. I graduated with a civil engineering degree, and for the first 22 years of my career, I call it the first half of my career, I practiced civil engineering and was a consultant. Most of our clients were public entities, water districts, sewer districts, the governments, cities and counties. And we did a lot of water and wastewater work and then branched out into general municipal engineering. In fact, one of my longtime employees was Wilson So, who's been up in the high desert for many years on the school board of Apple Valley. One of my clients was the city of Hesperia, and there came an opportunity back in 2001. A new department head was created, Director of Development Services, which managed the city's engineering department as well as building and safety, public works, and some of the other functions. And I was ready for a career change, leaving the consulting field and looking to do something else. And so I came to work at the city as a department head, and was here for about 4.5 years when the then city manager, Rob Quincy, decided to move on and take a job as city manager of Upland. And so the position of city manager opened, and I applied, went through the recruitment process, and I was very fortunate to become selected by the then council to be the city manager for Hesperia, and I've been here for about 8.5 years as city manager.
Looking at this new building here, it sounds like you're doing a good job.
Well, we our first city hall, well, not our first one, but when I became an employee, our city hall was not too far from here in a strip plaza, just a couple blocks away on Main and 9th, Eagle Plaza. And we used to joke, we still do, that we were a full-service city because you go and get a building permit and also get a tan, get a donut, have your clothes washed, and go to the chiropractor. All in the same building. So we felt for many years that we really need to move to the next step. We were a young city at the time, and so we spent a lot of time looking at this campus. And one of the things we wanted to was build a new city hall. We spent a lot of time looking at locations, but realized geographically this was the center of Hesperia. And so we picked this location, again just 2 blocks from our old location, and built this facility along with the library in 2006.
What are some of the biggest challenges it is to being a city manager?
Well, a lot of people have different ideas about some of the challenges. There's a lot of needs. With a young city, again, we just turned 25. We are a young city, but we're also a very large city. We cover over 75 square miles. When we incorporated, we inherited a vast network of infrastructure that was dilapidated, that needed fixing up. And so one of the biggest challenges in our city, because it's different depending on what city you go to, is just the infrastructure challenges, trying to repave all our roads. For the longest time, right, Hesperia had the reputation of having bad roads. And so one of the things that council really focused on in 2000 was really to look at a road rehabilitation program. Lack of infrastructure. We only had one way to get on the freeway, was Main Street. We share Bear Valley Road with Victorville, but we only had one location to get on the freeway, and Joshua, also at 395. We had one crossing over the railroad tracks, Main Street. So there's a lack of infrastructure, a lack of amenities for the citizens, and then when you tack on that we had that expansive growth in 2000, trying to provide the services that people from down below who move up here come to expect, again adds to the challenges for a high desert city that's a bedroom community, basically. Right. For a lot of our residents, still over 60% of our working population drive down below or outside the city to go to work. So that in itself presents challenges.
If you had to list 3 of your highest priorities in 2014, what would they be?
Well, I would like to add one, maybe add a 4th one. Okay. Our first priority it will always be infrastructure, road infrastructure. We've been very fortunate we were able to finally complete the underpass at Ranchero, project that's been on the books even before cityhood, and now we're under construction on the Ranchero interchange. Well, with those two brand new infrastructure, transportation infrastructure projects, it's going to open up the whole southern portion of Hesperia, not just Hesperia, but also Apple Valley, to access to the freeway. Well, what we are doing is working with the county is to now look at the link between those two projects, and that's Ranchero Road, widening Ranchero Road from 2 to 4 lanes. Half of it's in the county, half of it's in the city, so that's a major project. Another priority is to move forward with recycled water. Water, along with transportation, are probably the most important aspect of growth, not only growth, but also meeting the current needs of our citizens, and that's an adequate water supply. I saw the interview you did with Logan Olds of Victor Valley Wastewater Reclamation Authority, and he spoke about the sub-regional plant that we are working with them, we're a member entity, to build a new sub-regional in Hesperia. Well, once that's built, we have to get that reclaimed water to some of our users. We've been forward thinking that a lot of our newer development has been pre-plumbed with recycled pipe.
Perfect.
So that once recycled water is available, you don't have to do a lot of retrofitting, you're able to actually connect right into it. In fact, this whole complex here is pre-plumbed. So all the landscaping will be able, including the park, will be utilizing recycled water. So our priority is to obtain funding so that we can start the design and construction of that recycled system. Once the plant's done, then we'll connect with the system. Another priority, back to transportation, is the widening of the aqueduct bridges at Main and at Ranchero. I talked about the widening of Ranchero, but the bridges over the aqueduct will be a choke point as we widen the roads, and that's a whole separate project in itself. So we're working with the state and federal government to obtain funding to help us with the design and construction of those two projects. And probably the other major priority is which I'll probably talk about a little bit later, and that is job creation. Right. One of the things the high desert still lacks are good paying jobs, a good quantity of good paying jobs. That's why our citizens are still driving down to the Inland Empire and Los Angeles and Orange County for work. One thing that we are going to work on is developing our industrial area on the eastern part of the town, where we just put in a brand new rail spur. We now have direct rail access to the Burlington, Northern Santa Fe, which go all the way to the ports. Well, we have land and property along that rail spur, and we want to help develop that by putting in infrastructure such as streets, curb, gutter, sidewalk, and utilities, so that businesses, good job-producing companies, could come in and locate in this area and have direct access to the rail. So those are also some of our priorities.
But a lot of the cities up here are going through some difficult financial times. How is Hesperia doing?
You know, it's been extremely difficult. All the cities in the high desert had a redevelopment agency, and I'm sure you heard before, the demise of redevelopment by Governor Brown has had a tremendous impact on our city. You know, you're always going to hear a couple bad apples in a program. There's always individuals or others who abuse the system. In our case, and I can speak for the whole high desert, redevelopment dollars were put to very good uses. In our city alone, we built a brand new police station. We went from a 7,500 square foot station to a 40,000 square foot police station. We built a library. It helped to fund the Ranchero underpass. We helped to repave probably 250 miles of roads in our city with redevelopment funds. We built parks. We've upgraded parts of our oldest part of our city with new curb, gutter, and sidewalk and utilities. So we put redevelopment dollars to the use that they were intended for, and that was to to increase and improve infrastructure and also bring jobs to our city. We partnered with many new businesses that came to our city with redevelopment dollars. So the loss of this program has had a tremendous impact on the city, and you're just not going to see the type of construction that you saw in the last 5 to 10 years when we had redevelopment funds available. The plus side, though, has been an increase in our retail sales tax. That, of course, with the installation of the High Desert Gateway, the Target Center, the Walmart Supercenter, and some of the other businesses that have grown along Main Street. That has helped our sales tax base quite a bit. We don't get a lot of property tax from the county. When the city incorporated, they negotiated a very low property tax rate. So the city gets very little amount of property tax. It really is sales tax is our number one general fund revenue source along with other sources as well. So from a revenue standpoint, we are doing okay. You're not going to see a lot of new construction only because we've lost a major source of funding, so we'll continue to pursue state and federal grants. But we really need to focus on job creation. That's really what's going to make it turn the valley around, is to really bring good paying job industries back to the valley.
It seems to be a fine balance. You want retail sales tax at the same time if you build infrastructure or different other kind of programs that can, programs and businesses that can actually build jobs. It's like a different monster that you're building. It's two different things.
Yeah, because again, when you look at the amenities, for the longest time our citizens had no retail to shop at. They were going to Victorville and other cities. And so when you do the surveys, obviously the citizens, they want to have restaurants, they want to have stores that they could shop at. And so you need to bring the retail side of it, but also we need to bring the job industries to the high desert so that they can not only shop here, but they can all work here as well.
There's a JPA that some of the cities are going out to look for and see if they can kind of see if going out on your own is better than partnering with the sheriff department, the fire department for the county. How is that coming along, and what do you predict?
Yeah, this process, or actually the four cities, Adelanto, Hesperia, Apple Valley, and Victorville, got together and funded a study to look at the feasibility of creating a public safety JPA. One thing that's been stressed, and I want to continue to stress, that it has nothing to do with level of service. We have nothing but the utmost respect and admiration for the type of service we've received historically and up to this day from the county sheriffs and county fire. They do an admirable job, and again, anyone you talk to is very, very happy with the work and continues to be with the response we get and the type of personnel that they provide to us is just far beyond the best. Right. It really comes down to cost. Over the last couple of years, we've just seen our contract costs for county police and county fire escalate at a much higher level than what the normal operating costs of the city has been. The sheriff's contract makes up over 50% of our general fund budget. And so what the council has asked, and not just our city council, but the other three council, is can it be done with the same level of service, which is important, at a more cost-effective manner? And that's why we hired the consultant to do a very broad feasibility study, without even looking at details. Answer this question alone: can it be done more cost-effectively, not only today, but over 20 years?
Right.
And so they're in the process of doing that. My prediction, I really don't know. If I knew what it was the answer was going to be, we wouldn't have to do the study.
Right.
And so I, along with the other managers and the councils, really don't know what this is going to result in. What we do know is that we've told them, give us, don't sugarcoat this, give us the actual numbers, what the numbers come out. Because we don't want to create something if it's not, in the long term, not going to make any, it will not be cost effective.
To the people.
Because what we don't want to lose is, again, the professionalism, the type of service we have today.
Right.
We don't want to lose that. And if in fact it's going to end up costing us the same or more in 5-10 years, well, it's not worth going down. But because of the fact the costs are going up, this is something that this council and the other city councils felt that they at least had to look at.
So what is the city doing to actually bring more jobs?
We are even though we've lost redevelopment, which was, again, a very good funding source to help us attract new jobs, we still have a very active and aggressive economic development department that go out and attend conferences. We have programs such as a restaurant rewards program where we will help with a new restaurant, because one of the things a new restaurant tries to overcome is am I going to make my rate of return in the first couple of years? Mm-hmm. And so we'll work with them on a couple different levels to ensure that they, at least for the first couple of years, meet their rate of return. We have the Enterprise Zone, which was a great program that is also ending, thanks to Governor Brown, at the end of this calendar year, that provided state tax credits for businesses located within the Enterprise Zone that hired individuals located within certain areas of our city. Unfortunately, that's going away, but people that are applying for that tax credit will still be able to maintain them for a period of years, so it's still going to be very beneficial. Probably one of the things that you may have heard from other cities that I think is very important on attracting new jobs and industries to our city and that is the creation of Opportunity High Desert. There's a conference that the cities all attend, not only in the High Desert, but all over the country, called the International Conference of Shopping Centers. And it's held in Las Vegas, and it's attended by end users, developers, and the Walmarts, the Targets, cities and counties are there. And the whole idea is you're all located in one location, and you have all your meetings to try to bring businesses and retail to your location. A year and a half ago, each city in the High Desert, including Barstow, had their own booth. We had 5 separate booths, and and the city managers got together and started talking. You know, we need to reformulate our whole idea about the High Desert.
Right.
And so we came up with an idea of merging our resources and creating one booth and one logo, basically one symbol of the High Desert, and that is Opportunity High Desert, which is incorporated of all 5 cities, including Barstow, is the 5th city. And we are now marketing not only for retail, but for businesses, job-producing companies, to come and locate to the High Desert. We identify the strengths of the High Desert, the fact that we have a ready and willing workforce. We have infrastructure in the ground. A lot of places do not have the infrastructure needed or the land to build to build a brand new facility. Right. And we're going in with the realization that it doesn't really matter where a new business locates that brings jobs, just that it comes to the High Desert, because we will all benefit. If a new business comes that employs 100 workers at SCLA that pay good living wage jobs, that's going to benefit all of us, all the cities. Same thing, Barstow and our Apple Valley or Atlanta. So that's how the managers have approached this, as well as the city councils, that we are now working cohesively together as 5 cities, bringing new jobs, and not just retail, but also industries, to the High Desert, and that's really what our focus is.
Yeah, I'm so impressed that you said that, and actually I have not heard that before from some of the managers I've talked to. One of my theories has always been, when you build a shopping center here, the same dollar is going to be spent in one of the cities anyway.
Yes.
So you just took a little bit from another city, if you will. So again, nobody wants to go down the hill to shop. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to. And as long as we compete against each other, we don't really make as much headway as we could if we focus as a group. And it sounds like we're focusing more as a group, so it's a good thing.
We are now, of course, we still will benefit if they come to our city, but the one difference is that we want to attract them first to the High Desert. Right. And then we are each going to say what our strengths are, because we each have different strengths. For instance, we have a rail spur. Atlanta has a very large industrial area. Victorville has the base, SCLA. Apple Valley has a very large industrial area out by the Walmart. So we all have our strengths and we have our weaknesses.
So you're actually competing in some form.
Yes.
But at the same time, you're working as a collective.
And also to identify, to make it easier for that business owner to make the decision, well, where do we need to locate it? We'll get to the High Desert first, and then we'll tell you where we think is the best location. So yeah, we're still going to compete once they make the decision up here, but we're competing on a different level, knowing that they're going to locate here. And that's the important factor.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
Every corner, every week.
Let me just say something. The way I see it, we all got a choice to make. And we can keep focusing on the bad, dwell on the bad, talk about the bad, or we can focus in on the good. But I don't know about y'all, but I've heard just about enough from bad. I'm tired of bad, okay? I want to hear what good's up to. Because I know it's here. I see it. I hear it and I feel it. So I'll tell you, what I want to do, I want to give it up for good. Give it up for what is good, what can be good, what will be good in our communities and our homes and in our lives. Now, who's with me?
Welcome back to Our Community, brought to you by the CYAP.
What about children? Children is the foundation for every civilization. What is anything extraordinary you're doing to protect or to help educate the citizens?
Well, it's probably two areas because, again, most of that will come through the school district and the park district since they have after-school programs. But two areas we try to assist with both is we have a Healthy Hesperia program that we have a member of our city staff who's really leading that and has members of the school district and park district and other community members as well that meet on a regular basis to identify how can we ensure that our young people are going to stay healthy, get healthy, stay healthy. Looking at food in the schools as well as other locations, exercises, what can we do to provide more walking access to different locations, such as we're very active and aggressive in our Safe Routes to Schools program. There are grants that the state puts out, and we've been successful on one that we built recently was a path of travel, basically a sidewalk with landscape that goes from the school at Juniper and Willow down here to the Park District. So we have access now from the Lucy Seagrass School, Juniper Elementary, and even Hesperia Junior High that would be able to use this path to get to the not only to the park here, but also to the library. So providing facilities such as that.
You talked a little bit about housing before. I know Hesperia is one of those communities that really emphasized on great housing. Can you elaborate on that some more?
Well, one of the things when we had a redevelopment agency again that we maintained quite a bit, and that was to ensure that we had the state mandated amount of low and moderate income housing, which we were able to partner with many developers, and not only for, again, non-seniors but seniors as well. And so we have various projects throughout the city that have provided that to our citizens on the low, very low, and moderate income as far as housing. Also, Hesperia, which is a little bit different than other cities, when you look at our housing mix, Victorville has many lots that are basically in the smaller range, and Apple Valley are, for the most part, half acre and above. We have housing that could be anywhere from a 3,500 square foot lot all the way to 5 acres.
Wow.
So when you're looking at housing and what you would like in housing, we have basically all that in our city. If you want to live in a small subdivision with sidewalk, curb and gutter, street lights, we have that on the west side. If you want to have agricultural property where you could have horses and livestock, we have that as well. If you want something in between, we have that. So I mean, we really do have a wide variety of housing in our city.
You talked earlier about road repair, and the reason I brought that up is you're right, the image of Hesperia in the past was the roads. You guys have done a great job. I'm driving down the roads today and a lot better.
We have put in hundreds of millions of dollars, literally hundreds of millions of dollars, and we've repaired over 300 miles. Our whole road system is about 550. We have repaired, when I say repaired, we have torn up and repaved with brand new sections, not just crack seal and a thin layer of sealant, brand new asphalt, over 300 miles of road. So we've done quite a bit. And now the challenge is we did all that in the 2000s. Now we have to maintain all that.
Right.
You can see a lot of the roads, they don't last forever. They have to be crack sealed. They have to go back with the slurry seal. So now we have to maintain those. And we still have some roads. And we still have a inventory of dirt roads. And so there's still more road needs out there. But yes, we have come a very long way during 2000, 2012 on road repair.
The council and also yourself should be commended for that. That's a good job.
Council has been very adamant about that. That's been a high priority for them.
Well, speaking of the council, one of the big things I believe is to make government effective is to have a good council with a great city manager, and those two parties work well together. Is that what you're feeling here in Hesperia?
Very much so. I've been very fortunate to have a very supportive city council, a council that understands our need to provide new jobs to our citizens, new housing, repair the roads, and supportive of staff as well to carry out the directives of the council. So I've been very, very fortunate in my 8.5 years as city manager.
What keeps you up at night?
Well, actually, I sleep pretty good at night.
That's good.
One reason someone told me one time is, when you go to sleep, you leave your troubles off to the side because they'll be there in the morning.
Right.
So don't worry about them when you go to sleep, because when you wake up, they'll be there waiting for you. So I've kind of taken that philosophy, and so I usually sleep pretty well. But As far as issues that concern me, it's our slow recovery out of the recession. It always takes the high desert longer to get out of the recessions when you look at the recessions in the past. We're typically the last ones to feel it because it affects the Inland Empire, the LA Basin, and then works its way up here. But we're the last one to get out of it. And this one's just taken a very long time. And part of the reason is the lack of jobs, good paying jobs, lack of new housing, and then lack of amenities for our young people.
Right.
The concern I see that we were starting to address before the recession hit was keeping our young people in the high desert. They really are, everyone is a resource. They're the one resource we seem to be losing.
Right.
The ones that they leave when they go to school and they don't come back. We don't have the challenges for them. We don't have the jobs for them. As they're growing up, we may not have the amenities for them. And so that's the area I think we really have to target and look at is what do we do to not only retain our young people, because they are going to go away to college because we don't have the colleges or trade school are going to go away. We don't have that too. It'd be great to provide that. But in the meantime, what can we provide to make sure they come back?
Right. And
they bring back what they've learned and create new businesses here. They have a job waiting for them here, and they raise their family here. And so that's an area that I think we need to do a better job looking at and working with all the communities, the schools, the parks, all the other cities, and really address. You know, even with that note, I still feel very positive about the high desert. I think it's a wonderful place to live. I love when people come up and visit from down below, and I think it's just a wonderful community. They have a lot of high hopes for it. So I hope other people feel the same way, and I hope people such as yourselves, and I appreciate what you're doing to get the word out. So thank you very much for this.
Well, thank you.
Okay.